Hi there, I'm Shane Spiers, and welcome to another edition of the Performance Brief, where we give you one breakthrough business idea in just 5 minutes. My guest today is Heather Havenwood. Heather, a very warm welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. For those of you that don't know her, Heather Ann Havenwood is a serial entrepreneur and is regarded as a top authority on digital marketing, sales coaching, and online publishing business strategies. Heather was named one of the top 50 must-follow woman entrepreneurs for 2017 by Huffington Post. She is also called Chief Sexy Boss from her Amazon bestseller book, Sexy Boss: How Female Entrepreneurship is Changing the Rule Book and Beating the Big Boys. And others call her an icon creator or a wizard behind the curtain. Wow. In 2006, she developed and grew an online marketing publishing company from ground zero to over 1 million in sales in less than 12 months. Starting without a list, a product, a name, or an offer, Heather molded her business partner into a successful guru, now known as an expert in his field. She has instructed, coached, and promoted hundreds of entrepreneurs, leading them down the path to success and building a lucrative business from their knowledge and leveraging it online. Heather currently is the author of many books, including Sexy Boss: How the Empowerment of Women Are Changing the Rule Book for Money, Success, and Change. Wow, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Heather, our subject today is Sell
Yes.
Like a Boss: How to
Yes.
Attract Clients Without Selling. And we have 5 minutes
Yes.
for the interview. Are you ready?
Yes.
Great. Your time starts now. Let me set my clock. So let's jump straight in. What do you mean by sell like a boss?
So the couple things. One is I work with a lot of CEOs, and what the number one thing they want to do is they want to hand off the sales process to somebody else. They want to create a sales team. And I'm always like, no, unless you're a big Fortune 500 company, even then, they always figure out that the bosses or the management that really stop talking to the customers lose the connection to the customer. So you always want to be in the sales world, even though you're like, hey, that's not what I do. I'm the widget guy or I'm the creator X. You've still got to be with the customer. But more importantly, talking about this one thing, this one element is how do you sell? You sell through stories. You sell through understanding the hero's journey. You sell through to sharing your personal story as a business owner. That is how you sell, because people want to know why you started the company, why you're doing what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, it's called the H to H, Heather Havenwood, but it's still H to H, human to human interaction. People want to do business with humans, not businesses. We still do business with human beings. That's why you can open up the Bible and, the old school thing called Bible, right? Read a story, like it or not, and still comprehend it, because we as human beings haven't changed that much. Yes, we're talking on this thing called, video and Zoom and whatnot, and you're across the world and I'm somewhere else, and that's really cool. But we as human beings haven't changed that much. So it's the H to H philosophy of selling through storytelling, not your resume. No one cares about your resume. They care about your story.
And what's your story? So how did you get into
That's way
this?
more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like really present to this clock thing.
Yeah.
So, so my personal story, there's a ton there, but honestly, I think I started out like most people. So I started in corporate America, and I did very well in business to business outside sales at a very young age of 25 through 27, 28. And then I was number one in the entire country, beating everyone, from New York, LA, Chicago, and I was living in a small town called Fort Worth, Texas. And then I got fired. I got fired because I didn't fit the mold. I was blonde. I was 27. I was making a lot of money. And my coworker was white male, 45. I didn't fit the mold and I didn't do it right. So, but I still was completely killing it in numbers. And that's because I didn't listen to anybody else. I did my own thing. So I think part of the process is understanding is that we as human beings haven't changed that much. We want to actually connect. And the number one thing I did in that corporate America job is I was real with the client. I was always really real. I always took what I call the bad clients, the ones that like were mad at the company.
Yeah.
I would take them and I'd love on them and nurture them and just be human. I'd let the business be human. And then all of a sudden they start writing a big paycheck to us, right?
Yeah.
So I think that people underestimate when you're selling. We haven't changed that much. We want to do business with people we know, like, and trust. And how do you do that? It's not about your resume. No one cares about your resume. People care about why you started the business. What was the reasoning? Why are you passionate about what you're doing?
Yeah.
So that, I think, honestly, is the reason I think I've been successful is I'm a master storyteller. I'm able to take anybody's story, life story, and be able to have it in a way that people go, oh, I can relate to that. Because oftentimes people come to me and say, Heather, I don't have this magic story that I, broke my leg off and I found my way or something like really radical.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It doesn't have to be this radical thing. It could just be as simple as, this thing happened with me and my mom or my sister. And that day I knew I'm not like, I want a new path in life.
Yeah.
It's like that simple.
Yeah.
So people really want to understand why you started the business, who you are, and what your vision is.
Yeah. So you, as a sales and marketing coach, what's the number one piece of advice you give to your clients?
Well, there's a couple things. The first thing that when they start working with me with a deep dive in marketing, the first thing I tell them to do is for 6 months, they're not allowed to buy any products and services. So it's called detoxing, right? They're not allowed to go buy how to do social media or how to do YouTube video or how to do Instagram or how to whatever. Like they have to detox themselves, because what we think as human beings, when we purchase something, we feel like we're doing something,
right.
And you have to undo all that. You've got to detox that process. It's like going to the bar thinking that those people at the bar are really your friends. They're not your friends. Like when things get really real, they're not going to be there. So you have to detox yourself and start to focus on what actually is the business and what am I selling? The first thing I ask my client is, what are you selling? And if they can't tell me within 2 minutes, I'm like, you don't know what you're selling. You don't have business. Wow. And they get very upset. So we have to get that clear on what actually are you selling.
Brilliant.
Right. And so a lot of it is when they have a knowledge of something, like I have a client right now, he's a producer in Hollywood. Like he's got all this knowledge, right? And video and live and this whole knowledge base. That's knowledge. But then where's the sales? How do you relate what you have to sales? How do you change that into a messaging that makes you unique next to the other production guy in LA, right? What's that piece? What's the storytelling behind it?
Brilliant. Sadly, we've come to the end of our time.
I know. Brilliant. It's like I don't have this clock. You got to have a clock in front of me, because if not, I'll just keep going.
Thanks, Heather. For those of you folks, the link will be below the video, but the link is www.heatherhavenwood.com/media. Thank you very much.